the March 30th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Could we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America
States of America,
and to the republic
and to
for
the
which it
republic
stands,
which stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
with
and justice
liberty and
for all.
justice for all.
Wow.
Almost in unison. Could we have a roll call, please?
Kathleen Hill,
Present.
William Hutton,
Present.
Nancy Reagan,
Present,
Roger Brock,
Present.
Dennis Radowski. 4 present, we have a quorum.
All right, do we have a motion to table the minutes for June 29th, 2016, May 24th, 2017, July 26th, 2017, February 25th, 2020, August 25th, 2020, and December 1st, 2020?
I so move, Madam President.
You want to state your name too, so everybody knows, Mr. Hutton?
Mr. Hutton.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
You got it. Nancy has it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Brian, you want roll call votes for everything now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes,
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstention, motion passed.
do we have a motion in regard the minutes for January 26th, 2021?
I so move, Madam President. Mr. Hutton.
To accept? Do you move to accept, Mr. Hutton?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Yes.
I'll second it, Roger.
We have a roll call vote?
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
yes,
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Do we have a motion in regard to the minutes of February 23rd, 2021?
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Mr. Hutton.
Mr. Hutton, sorry.
Nancy
Roll call
Reagan,
vote?
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
yes,
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, we have 2 items that have been carried over under old business. And as I recall, we did not have to have any notification, correct?
Correct, but we did put a legal notice in the paper.
Okay. All right, do you want me to read them both at the same time, Mr. Novak, Mr. Poland, and then have separate votes?
That'll be fine.
Okay, we have Z-21-03 petition of Salvador Feliciano for a conditional use permit regarding title section 3.11(1), conditional use to allow the operation of a beauty parlor business in a R1U urban single-family residential district located at 4404 Torrance Avenue in the city of Hammond. And we also have Z-21-04, petition of Salvador Feliciano for a developmental variance regarding title section 20.44.01, commercial/retail uses to allow an alternation of the requirements for off-street parking spaces in a R1U urban family residential district located at 4404 Torrance Avenue in the city of Hammond. I notice upon reading the new information, there has been some changes in both of these. So I would think, does anybody have any, members have any questions?
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
the petitioner should address the changes that have been made.
okay. Do we have anybody here to speak for the petitioner?
You know, last month Scott had issues with his computer getting on in time, so maybe that's what's going on, but I'm giving his office a call right now.
Okay,
I received a voicemail from his office. We had spoken prior weeks. You should be aware.
did you speak to him at all this week or at the end of last week?
I did send him an email end of last week, but I did not speak with him.
Did he respond to the email or there was no need to? Just a reminder about the meeting.
Yeah, I was forwarding some information, so there was no need to reply, but
Okay, do you think that the board members have any objection to move to change our order of our meeting and do old business after we handle the new business?
Madam President, should we table this until the next meeting?
Well, we could table it if he still doesn't show up after we do new business. What do you think of that? And at least give him an opportunity if he isn't in traffic or anything now.
Madam Chairman, staff would have no objection to change the order of the agenda and come back to the old business at the end. And if it should be tabled at that point, then take care of it at that time.
Does that sound all right with everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay, do we have a motion to change the order of the agenda and put old business after new business?
I make a motion that we take the old business and move it after the new business.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Roger.
Okay, could we have a roll call vote?
William Hutton,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
okay, then we will move to new business. The first item is Z-21-05, petition of Cube Sports Complex LLC for a variance of use regarding title section 11.10 warehousing and 24 distribution to allow the cold storage, warehousing, and distributing of medical, pharmaceuticals, biodepository in a S1 open space and recreational facilities district located at 2528 J.F. Mahoney Drive in the city of Hammond. Have all notification requirements been met?
They have.
All right. Do we have anybody who is speaking for this variance of use?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, would you like to state your name and your address, please?
Frank Buck, 2825 JF Mahoney Drive.
Ms. Morris, do you need a spelling on that name, or are you all right?
I'm fine, thank you.
Would you like to tell us about what you plan or what you would like to do?
I'm Frank's partner, Stanley Sabilo. I'm going to kind of explain. We are still proposed a second sheet, but because ice
Okay,
time
can
is
I
a little-
ask, is this a second person speaking now?
Yes,
Okay, then can you state your name and address?
Stanley Sabilo. Sobilo. We are going to, what we want to do, because we have the facility that's got size, and because of slow ice sales and everything else, and it is a long-term projection till we build enough interest in the hockey and that we're gonna put in the concrete floor and use it to store, as you described, samples of, well, even the COVID vaccine and stuff like that. So that's what, in a simple explanation, that's what we want to do. Still would be open to be able to put in a second sheet when business picks up or whatever.
Mr. Sabilo, I know some of the stuff is in your cover letter, but can you just, for the record and for the benefit of the public meeting, talk about the truck traffic that you anticipate, and how long do you think that you will need to have the distribution and the warehousing, and when you can, your best guess, I guess, as far as when you would be able to reopen it up as an ice rink?
Okay, truck traffic. We would need and there's been a semi that comes probably every couple of months right now to pick up our Zamboni blades and sharpen them. So I would expect maybe on the beginning of this operation that we would need maybe once every month or once every 2-3 months to bring in the freezer units. The other stuff, the stuff that we'd be storing, comes in a FedEx delivery van that you see driving around in neighborhoods. So that wouldn't be as much truck traffic. And that would probably be maybe once a day, once every few days, depending on when we get stuff in or we need to ship back to the hospitals or whoever's storing the stuff. The best guess on when we would switch businesses back is a few years at least. I don't know. Our projection for at least putting the second sheet in was probably 3 years as it was, because we need to build youth teams. Right now, we did pretty good from fall to winter, but we lost a lot of sales in the high school. We were supposed to have a spring league for high school, and that fell through. All the teams went to Illinois once Illinois opened up. So.
And for the board's understanding, and it is referenced in the documentation you have, is that the larger truck would come down Parish Avenue.
Yes.
To Mahoney Drive, and then into the facility on the west side of the building. The other trucks can come off of Kennedy and make the 180-degree turn northbound Kennedy to southbound Mahoney Drive, because of the turn radiuses. They're easier to do that, but the larger trucks have to, just because of the nature of the truck and turning radiuses, have to come from another direction. A couple of years ago, the city put in some traffic barriers on 175th Street on the north side of Dowling Park to control any traffic that would be potentially going into the residential neighborhood. So this is designed to keep the traffic for this new use on the periphery of the neighborhood to the extent possible within the street network system.
You were right on Parish Avenue. They'll have to come down that way. Now, if something changes, we'd have to address it, but I think once, and then the other thing too, I was thinking of, Brian, is that we don't need to bring a 40-foot semi. We could probably bring a 20-foot or even go to a smaller cube van to bring them in. You know, I could actually take them off at a different facility and then bring them in instead of bringing a whole truckload. And then make the easier turn off of Kennedy onto Mahoney and stay away from the neighborhood.
I think that is worth seriously considering, alternatives to kind of keep down the level of traffic in the neighborhood, and we would welcome, those alternatives. So yeah, please look into that.
Yeah, no, that's no problem on our part because, the first initial delivery would probably be the biggest. After that, you may be buying one or two, and we could bring them in and get them off at my shop and then bring them in on a small delivery van.
Okay.
So.
Did the board members have any other questions on the petitioner's proposal?
I do. Brian, where are these cold storage units going to be placed, stored until they're picked up again?
Well, I'm going to try and answer that question, and of course, Mr. Sabilo, you can clarify me where I'm wrong.
Mr. Sabilo, are you done with your presentation? Or did
Yes.
you have anything else you had to add? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Brian.
Okay, so there is the north wing of the building that does not have the fully developed ice rink, and that is where they are going to want to use that portion as the storage area as a temporary use, and then once circumstances change, they'd be able to convert that back into its originally intended purpose as being another ice rink.
So they'll be inside the building?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
I had a question as far as the trucks expected with the delivery. As far as in our information, on page 1, it states the number of trucks is expected to be 1 per month for 3 months. And in the letter, it states where is it? The cold storage units would need to be delivered in a box truck, probably 1 box per truck per month for the first 3 months. Now, one is for only 3 months and one is for the first 3 months. So this will continue over the 2 or 3 period that it would be monthly and not just for 3 months. Or am I just reading that preposition wrong? Because in your information and regarding Z2105, when you have the petition, the second paragraph, it says the number of trucks is expected to be 1 per month for 3 months. To me, after 3 months, the trucks are not coming. And then in the letter we received, in this last paragraph of the first page, it states the trucks would be delivered on box trucks, probably 1 box truck per month for the first 3 months. To me, that means that after the first 3 months, there will be other trucks coming. Or am I looking at this totally different?
No, you're correct in saying that there might be more trucks coming. It all depends on how, for instance, we could probably get 20 to 30 on a big 40-foot truck. Now that means that we have 30 freezers. What if in the first 3 months we don't fill but 10 of them? We wouldn't be getting any more trucks till we fill up the first 30 or whatever. So could be more trucks coming, but it wouldn't be that often as the first couple of months.
So they,
And then if, and like I just said to Brian, if we only need to bring in 3 or 4 or 5 units, I would rather, and to save you guys and hassle of the driver coming down through the neighborhood, we could offload them and bring them in one at a time by ourselves on our vehicles.
all right. So in other words, not knowing where you stand and what could happen, there could be one every month coming in. That's a possibility, but not a likelihood.
That is correct, but like I said, if it comes to that point, we will do something where we break it down to smaller, and so there's not that kind of traffic coming.
Okay, and also it basically says in the letter from the information from the staff in the last paragraph, it is expected that the use of the building for distribution and warehousing will be temporary for up to 3 years. And as far as the findings of fact, I believe that's where, no, as far as the recommendations, number 2, the use ceases to operate within 2 years or March 31st, 2023. So we
Chairperson
have
Hill,
sort of a change that way, 2 years and 3 years.
Chairperson Hill, you're asking a question about the staff report prematurely because we are still at presentation of the case.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I was just having questions in regard to the redundancy.
Right.
the
I
difference in opinion.
understood. The questions of the truck traffic clarification is a petition matter. So we can, any of the,
All right, so
other
we can
issues,
address that. I will repeat that again when we get into the staff report then.
staff will address it, so you don't have to repeat it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Poland?
No, not from the staff at this time.
Any other questions from the board members at this time in regard to Z-21-05?
No. Get a little damn.
All right, then we will move into public comments or questions. Anyone in the public that like to speak in regard to this variance of use? I do not see anyone. Mr. Poland, Mr. Novak, do you see anyone?
No, ma'am.
Then we will close this period of public expression comments. Board members at this time have any other questions?
No.
Right. And we have a staff report in regard to Z-21-05. And it's a variance of use, so our decision will also go to the Common Council, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board in regard to the staff report? Since there's some discrepancies, does anybody want the staff report read, or would just like the staff report taken into the records with staff making any comments they would like to at this time? Do we have any
Make
kind
a
of
motion.
Go ahead,
Make
Ms.
a motion. That, it's Nancy Reagan. Make a motion that we move it into the staff report.
That we accept it into the record,
Yes.
and with just as far as the staff making their recommendations and any other comments they wish to make?
Staff will make those comments.
Well, normally we just say as far as recommendations, okay? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second, Roger.
Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Kathleen, Nancy Reagan,
yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Staff like to read their recommendations?
Staff is going to take liberties here. Just so for clarity that this, again, is a variance of use for allowing warehousing and distribution in an S1 recreational open space district. We've already discussed the box or the traffic issues. The question that has been raised regarding some of the language in the staff report is really a matter of one of the things that staff was concerned about was that we want this facility to be used for its originally intended purpose that complies with its original zoning, and that this temporary use literally is temporary. So what becomes the appropriate time frame? Based on the nature of what the medical product is, I don't think any of us at this point in time really know how long that will be necessary for us to have this in place. And so therefore we started to think about what is generally an appropriate time frame, and that up to 3 years was originally what we talked about, and then there was some discussion that perhaps maybe we should control it to 2 years because we were seeing some positive movement in the way things are going. And so the staff recommendation language is what is the ruling factor, and that we recommend that the board make a favorable recommendation of the variance use to the city council under the conditions that the use is limited to the north wing of the building, and that the use ceases to operate within 2 years or March 31st of 2023. For everybody's understanding that should there be a need to extend it beyond that, then that would be a matter of coming back to the BZA and asking for an extension of the time frame.
I have one question, Madam President.
Okay,
Brian, is this a wholesale or retail operation?
It is not, it is a storage facility.
Thank you.
any other questions of the staff at this time? Do we note at this time that Dennis has joined our meeting?
I'm here. Hello.
Hello?
I hear you.
You hear me? Okay. I'm here.
Yep.
Have been.
It was noted he was a part of the last vote.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, we have some, from our staff, some findings of fact. There any additions that would like to be added to the proposed findings of fact at this time by the board members? Would the board, any board member like to make a motion to adopt the findings of fact that's been presented?
I'll make that motion. Roger.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Would the letter that's been attached to our information automatically be part of the record, or do we need a motion to accept that into the record?
Cover letter you're referring to?
Yes,
Yeah, it's a part of the record.
okay, just checking. All right. Do we have a motion in regard to the recommendations going to common council, whether we have a favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation?
Make a motion that it goes to the county, the city council with the, sorry, that in favor.
Okay, we have a motion to send it to the common council with a favorable recommendation. Do we have a second to that motion?
Point of
I
order,
second
I'll
that
second
motion.
it, Dennis.
Madam Chairman, point of order.
Yes,
The motion did not specifically include the conditions stated in the staff report. Is that what the intention of the board is?
The 2 year?
basically, I would say that was definitely the attention because we accepted the staff report as presented.
The motion should always be clear that you're stating those.
Okay. Ms. Reagan, did you make that motion in regard to accepting the staff report as presented?
Yes.
The second on that, was that also that recommendation
Yes.
that they second?
Yes.
Okay. Is that enough clarification, Mr. Poland?
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. So now we still have not voted on the motion to further favorable recommendation to the council. Am I correct, or did I miss that vote? Ms. Morris, do we need a roll call vote?
Yes, William Hutton,
Yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Right. We'll move on to Z-21-06, petition of Christopher and Suzanne Farrell for developmental variance regarding title section 3.30 parens A, minimum lot area to allow for a lot of less than 4,800 square feet in a R1U urban single-family residential district located at 951 Reese Street in the city of Hammond. Have all notifications been met?
Yes, they have.
Okay, I believe we have the petitioners here. Are you both going to speak? Why don't you both give your name and addresses? So you both are free to speak. As you present
Sure, my
your
name is
petition.
Susan Farrell at 9637 South Manistee Avenue in Chicago.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Farrell. My current address is 9637 South Manistee Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. We are both owners of the property of 951 Street, Reese Street.
All right, and what would you like to do?
Well, we'd like to build a single-family home at 951 Reese Street, which is currently a vacant lot. But the lot is under the required minimum of 4,800 square feet.
What would be your total square footage
Of the house or of the lot?
of what you're requesting as far as, I believe it would be your lot size for the variance?
The lot size is 3,560 square feet. And our house would be 1,395 square feet approximately.
Anything else you'd like to say as far as that house, your proposed house in relationship to the rest of the houses in the neighborhood?
It's just, it's very simple, brick home, nothing crazy. So I think it would be, well placed in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul and Mr.
I
Novak?
would
you
just
have
add to
one
that,
more-
that,
Go ahead, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
sorry. No, I would just say that, yeah, we're building a single family dwelling home. I do think it would add, it would add to the neighborhood. I know it is a vacant lot, but there was a house previously on the lot, but it was demolished in 2014. So I do think that we would add some, add something to the neighborhood as such if we did build a house that is just a vacant lot right now.
And all the lots actually on that block are also 3,560 square feet as well, going east towards Lincoln Street. They're all the same size as the lot that we would like to build on, which all have homes on them currently.
Okay, do any board members have any questions for the petitioners at this time?
I do, Madam Chairperson. Brian, is the lot coverage in compliance? Percentage of coverage?
Yes, it is. I think we've had discussions that there's some details that we still need to talk about the house from a site plan standpoint when it comes to the driveway and some other things like that. But the question before the board is whether or not this lot will be allowed to be built upon because of its size.
Yes, for reference, it'll be a 39% lot coverage, and they're allowed 50 in this zone.
Thank you.
The houses that are already built, how old are those houses on these lots?
This neighborhood is early 20th century.
Okay.
The house that was demolished, does anybody have any recollection of what the size? Is it pretty much the same size, the same dimensions, everything else that was that they're proposing?
I don't believe we researched that specifically to that question.
Okay,
Our concern was whether or not the new house would be of a similar size to what exists as opposed to what no longer exists.
okay. Right, with Mr. and Mrs. Farrell, would you like to state anything else?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Anybody in the public like to speak in regard to Z 2106?
Madam President,
Yes,
this is Councilman Kalwinski,
okay, can you state your, well, you stated your name, can you state your address, please?
5925 Calumet. I just have a couple questions. One is, will this be a rental property or will this be owner occupied? And secondly, will there be a basement and a second floor or how many levels will there be? And maybe the Farrells can answer those questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Sure. So
Anyone
this,
else? Can you wait until we're done with public comments and then you can answer all the questions, okay? Thank
Sure.
you. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to make? All right, now you may answer his questions.
okay, so this will be our primary residence and we do not have a basement. It will be a slab foundation and 2 levels.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. And welcome to the neighborhood.
Well, thank
It
you.
didn't pass yet.
Hopefully.
I'm being optimistic.
The drawing, I have to make a comment. Looking at the drawings, I think it is really a unique type setting. I don't know who your architect was, but it's This really looks like a neat house.
Oh, well, thank you. Very simple. We're not
It
fancy.
is very simple.
The architect
Anybody
was
else?
Jeffrey Shaw.
What, pardon, Mr. Novak?
The architect was Jeffrey Shaw. He's local in South Hammond.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Board members have any, well, we'll close this period of public comments because I don't see anybody else that would like to speak. And any board members have any other questions?
No.
All right, and we do have a staff report. And what would we have basically what we received last night was a revised staff report. Going through it, the only thing I saw was as far as the second page where it had the change in as far as the square footage. I don't know if anybody else noticed anything else. What's the pleasure of the board in regard to the staff report? Would I like to accept it into the record and just have the staff read their recommendations? Or would you like the whole report read?
Accept it, make a motion, we accept it into the staff report.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Roger.
Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
all right. Staff, the report and recommendations.
Yes, you want me to read the recommendation now? Okay. Staff recommendation, staff has reviewed, in the case of Z 2106, staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards, subject to the resolution of the city engineer's concerns regarding drainage and the driveway.
We've heard the recommendations of the staff. Do we have any additions or amendments to our findings of fact? So do we have a motion to adopt the findings of fact as presented by the staff?
I make that motion.
We have a second?
I'll second, Roger.
Roll call vote?
William Hutton,
yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes,
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, do we have a recommendation in regard to approval or denial of the developmental variance for Z 2106?
Subject to the resolution of the city engineer's concerns regarding
That is
drainage.
part of the
and
recommendation, correct, that we adopted?
It should be part of the motion.
Okay. In regard to the recommendations of the staff? Do we have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Nancy. You got it,
That's
Nancy.
fine.
The motion
I'll
was
do
made
it.
by
You got it.
Miss Nancy and seconded by Mr. Harding. How's that?
thank you.
Okay. Do we have a roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
And I would like to welcome you to the city of Hammond.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. We are excited.
Welcome.
All right, we are moving on to Z-21-07, petition of Carlitha Peterson. Hopefully I pronounced it halfway decent, Ms. Peterson, for a conditional use permit regarding Title Section 8.11, parens 2, and Title Section 7.11, parens 6, conditional use to allow the operation of a place of assembly not to exceed 100 persons in a C2 shopping center district located at 3430 169th Street, parens 3444 169th Street in the city of Hammond. Have all the notification requirements been met?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Would the petitioner like to present her proposal?
Hello, my name is Carlita Peterson, and I reside in Hammond at 6404 Monroe Avenue.
Would you like to tell us what your plans are?
My plans is open up an event space at the Blade Shopping Center, where I would host events such as bridal showers, repasts, pre-passes, birthday parties, and pop-up shops.
Could you clarify what a pop-up shop is?
A pop-up shop is when other vendors like hair vendors, people that sell hair, people sell body scrubs, they will come in and sell their product.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairperson, when you're ready, I have a question.
All right, I think we are ready.
When I look at the review and approvals, page 3 of 7, I see a number of 49 people. When I look at the agenda, I see 100 people. Which is it?
The zoning provision states up to 100 people, so that is why that language is used. Based on the discussions with the applicant's intended use and some discussions that came out of the fire department's review, that is where the lower number comes into it from basically a practical basis due to those other concerns.
So which number will be enforced?
49.
49, assuming you state all the conditions stated in the recommendation clearly in your motion.
So stated.
You're premature, but yeah, remember that when we get there.
And what was the recommendation of the fire department? Is that, I don't see that. I see reference to it with the information.
That's
received.
also 49 people.
Right.
But in regard to a few other things, as far as recommendations and information that we received from F.E. Moore and Fire Protection.
Madam Chairperson, are we at the point of asking staff for clarifications, or are you asking the petitioner for clarification?
Well, I was just asking as far as whoever can answer this. I know it was, you mentioned the fire department. So that's why I was asking what the recommendations were. Is that all right at this time or no?
Mr. Novak, I'm sure you can address that.
Yeah, so the Chief Fire Inspector, Phil Sharinga, he did go on site with the Building Commissioner, Bob Vale, I believe 2 weeks ago, and met Mrs. Peterson. And they did review the property because they wanted to make sure that people can get out in emergency, things like that. And, you know, there are technically two exits, but only one can be considered an emergency exit in the front, because the one in the rear opens up to not level ground. You know, there's a step down and it leads to kind of a slanted parking lot. So since he would only consider one emergency exit that met all the standards per fire code, that would put them at 49 people for a space that large. So,
What about the travel distance to get to that single exit?
well, the unit itself is only, if you look at the site plan, it's only so many feet long. If I can find the site plan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I see.
That's all right. Yeah, so 60, so the unit's 63 feet long, so, you know, everyone's within, you know, less than 75 feet of an exit.
Thank you.
Mhm.
But
And
they only-
F.E. Moran was just a private consultant who appeared a couple days before that and gave a few other recommendations that are in the report.
They would only be allowed, as far as fire, they would only exit through the front entrance?
Oh, in an emergency, I'm sure both exits would be utilized,
Okay.
but for purposes of figuring out occupancy, they can only consider the front exit to meet, you know, all the technical requirements.
When you discussed that second exit or the concerns about the second exit with the fire department, was there any discussion about whether or not that exit could be improved by some concrete or something like that and make that a legal exit?
Yes, it could be.
It could be, is that? Okay, but is that more of a landlord or a tenant issue?
Yes, it's something that we would have to discuss in order to get the 100 people in there. Once that slant is fixed, then we can go up to 100 people.
Okay, would you have to then, as far as require this to go back to the BZA to increase that, or would that automatically go that route?
That goes to the question, that goes to the question of how you're going to structure your motion, because what we're saying right now is that it's 49 based on the current fire department recommendations. But from a zoning standpoint, the zoning will allow up to 100 people, but of course that's predicated on the fact that they are code compliance. So if you want to give them that flexibility, you can modify that or clarify that in your motion.
Okay. All
I would like
members
to
understand
clarify
that?
that in the motion, so that if further down, maybe a year or two, I would have that option to do that without coming back and just have the fire code to come in to approve that back.
If we gave you that permission for 100
Correct.
people? Okay.
I feel uncomfortable with that.
I can understand that.
Well, what we would suggest on a staff basis, that you would structure the motion to say that they are, allowed to, we seek confirmation from the fire department that they have made the necessary changes in order to allow them to increase the occupancy to be no greater than 100.
And that's the way the fire gentleman addressed it.
I don't disagree, Mr. Poland, with that, but who's going to monitor that?
I would have, if in the future I did take that stance, I would still have to go back in front of the fire department in order to have them to come out to do a proper inspection.
So what we can do, just for administrative purposes, when she, assuming the approval is granted with that ability to make that flexibility change, and a permit is issued, then you put the notation in Zone Pro that, certain circumstances have been met, and that it has to be, if it's increased, that they have to provide the documentation from the fire department in the record prior to that being allowed. So it's all more of an administrative function of how that would be taken care of.
Okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
All right, would you like to state anything else, Ms. Peterson, in regard to your place of assembly?
Yes, I had in my cover letter, I asked for the time to be 12, to end the event at 12. There will be no pop-up shops at 11 o'clock at night. Usually they run during the day. The events will be more so in the evening. I am aware of the amplified sound being ceased at 11:45 p.m. which should allow me to close the event down at 12 a.m.
Okay, that would only be for the pop-ups, or that also for the assemblies,
That's only for the assemblies.
not for the pop-up.
No, not for the
Yeah,
pop-up.
the pop-ups would be during the day. The events would take place, I believe the grocery store and the Family Dollar close at 8 and 9 respectively, or 7 and 8.
Correct.
So usually the events would be taking place after the major, tenants are, other business tenants are gone.
Are closed.
Yeah.
Madam President,
Yes,
appendix number 1,
yes,
bullet point number 1, the 2 exits have backlit signs. Can we request, Mr. Poland, to have emergency lighting in this building?
But that would be a part of the normal code review through the inspections department. Those things would be attended to.
It has a front light and a back light.
Are you referring to like floodlights, Mr. Hutton?
That's
The
correct.
the exit signs with the light with the globe.
He means like battery operated floodlights,
That's correct.
in case power went out.
I agree with Mr. I'll leave it with
I'm-
Mr. Poland.
I would think most units have that.
Have that. Remember, I sent you the picture over. I
Yeah.
believe one of them was not lit, so we would have to check to make sure that the battery is operating properly, but the other one is.
I'm not talking about the word exit being lit. I'm talking about an emergency light that illuminates the floor.
I will say, if you look at I have one photo of the exit sign, and it looks like there are 2
Okay.
floodlights on the
There are
sides.
2
So by the
floodlights up
exit
there.
signs, there are floodlights, but I'm not sure if elsewhere.
I'm just not seeing it on the picture, that's all.
That's
That's
it. I
no
can.
problem. I can do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
and going back to as far as appendix 1, it states that they did not feel a sprinkling system was needed inside. Is it needed according to our fire codes?
No, your fire inspector was out there, the chief Schillinger, I believe.
Shringa.
Sharinga, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he did not mention a sprinkler system to me.
So he also felt that the fire that would suppress, should other units catch fire, they still be time for other people to get out. Is that what this is basically you saying?
One wall has a firewall. I believe that's on the north side, that wall is a firewall. So he didn't recommend any of that because of the firewall.
Okay. He also recommended that he did not think a fire alarm pull station or manual fire alarm box was needed. Does our fire department require this in this section of the building or no?
They recommended fire extinguishers in every room, and one in the front and one in the back.
But no fire alarm, just
No.
extinguishers, Mr. Novak? Is that what our fire department's also recommending?
From what I understand, Inspector Shringa didn't make that clear to me. If it was needed, I would hope that he would have mentioned it to me. I would say the fire separation, the firewall she mentioned, that commonly means that there's drywall or brick or some kind of material that if a fire starts in another unit, it should take 60 minutes for it to burn through to the other unit. So I think because of the fire separation, they have lesser standards for certain things.
But what if the fire started in this unit?
There's still a firewall there, and
But is there a way of notifying the fire department?
they're recommending fire extinguishers, I believe 5 fire extinguishers, one in the front, one in the back, one in each of the rooms, and one in the common area.
Mr. Novak, can you contact the fire department and ask about the pull stations?
I'll have a conversation with Phil Shringa, yes.
Thank you.
Directly ask him that specific.
And for everybody's edification, you can have a fire on one side and you can get through a firewall, but you can have the same fire on the other side and it might not get through the firewall.
But there's no one on the other side of me where the
Okay.
firewall is. is the adjacent
Just,
unit.
I think what we're trying to get at, we want to make sure that anything you have in your section with a fire alarm, a pull station or whatever, if there is a fire, that you are able to notify the fire department so all of the people in your section are safe. I think that's our concern.
I highly recommend pull stations in there, highly.
Okay, if I should, I'd like to comment that all of your questions of this detail of the fire department are really the purview of the fire department. And our
Fine.
recommendation is already stated with a condition that they are compliant with all the fire department regulations. So I just think that we should just kind of move on to the subject at hand, is whether or not they can have a place of assembly in this location.
I think basically Mr. Hug and I were trying to assure both ourselves that when we question the fire, does the fire department recommend this itself?
We had,
And that's what we were trying to get at. Am I right, Mr. Hudden?
That's
had the
correct.
company-
Okay.
That
we
is
had an
absolutely
outside-
right. Just want to make sure everybody's safe, that's all.
We had an outside independent contractor from the Moran to come out before the Hammond Fire Department came out.
Yes, and that's why I think Mr. Hudden and I were looking at his recommendation.
Right,
And
so
that's why
he
we
had
wanted to make,
recommendations
Yeah.
before, which was the fire
Yeah.
extinguisher, before Hammond Fire Department came out
Right.
with their same recommendations.
okay,
I
so
heard,
you are
I heard
willing,
Mr.
even
Poland, I
though,
agree with Mr. Poland. Let's go, move on.
Thank you.
all right. Anything else? Any other questions from board members? All right, anybody in the public like to speak for or speak in regard to Z 2107? I don't see anyone. Mr. Novak, Mr. Poland, do you see anyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we will close this period of public expression. And any members have any other questions at this time before we move into the staff report? Hearing none, we have a staff report in regard to Z 2107. What is the pleasure of the members? They prefer them to read the staff report or to accept the staff report with the reading of their recommendations and any additional comments.
I'll make that motion,
Yep.
recommendations with comments.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote?
Dr. Rob,
Yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes,
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
we have the
Oh.
recommendation.
Yeah,
Mr.
so-
Novak?
Staff recommendation in the case of Z 2107, staff has reviewed the petitioner's proposal and recommends that the board grant the conditional use should the board feel that the petitioner has met the standards subject to the petitioners. 1, ceasing amplified music by 11:45 p.m. every night. 2, never offering or selling any alcoholic beverages on site, never baking, cooking, or otherwise preparing hot food intended for retail to customers on site. 3, following all fire safety regulations set forth by both the Hammond Fire Department and the National Fire Protection Association codes and standards, which includes, but are not limited to, repairing the backlit fire exit sign at the front door, mounting charged fire extinguishers at both front and rear doors in each occupied room, and limiting attendance at events to 49 persons or less. 4, entering into a legally binding contract with all peddlers, aka pop-up vendors, submitting to code enforcement a copy of that contract, which notes the specific date and time of pop-up shop, and ensuring all peddlers, aka pop-up vendors, apply for and receive a peddler's, aka pop-up vendor's license from the city of Hammond prior to any pop-up shop opening to the public.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to add a fifth condition. Increase of up to 100 person occupancy would be allowable upon determination by the fire department and the building code.
Increase of up to 100%, 100-person occupancy.
Would be allowed upon determination by the fire department and the building code.
So that would not need to go back to the BZA at all, correct?
Correct.
Right. Does anybody have any questions in regard to the recommendations that we have also included an additional one? Can I ask a question as far as number 4, as how this is monitored? As far as to making sure that they're filing everything they need to? Is there a mechanism for filing? And what if they don't file and all of a sudden there's an event there that nobody knows about? That I know that's probably not a
That is
BZA
just for- that is
business,
just
but-
for the pop-up shop, correct?
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes.
just for the pop-up
Yeah,
shop.
and it'll be on the vendors themselves to deal with that. So, Code Commissioner Nick Farrell was made aware of this situation. And he actually helped us craft this idea. So, I will try to make sure that Code Commissioner Nick Farrell and the inspector in that area understand that if they haven't heard from them in a while, maybe, because I assume there will be a pop-up shop at least every couple months. But, code enforcement knows to keep an eye out for it, but I do understand your concern.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we have basically agreed to accept the staff report with the 5 recommendations. And we can move into the findings of fact. All right,
You said I missed. Did you say you need to make a motion to accept
I
the
think
staff
as far as,
report?
do we want to accept, I think we've already accepted the staff report.
Okay, sorry.
And with the additional thing, would you like us to re-accept it with the new addition one, Mr. Poland?
I think you only asked for the staff report to be read into the record. I do not believe that you had a motion to accept the staff report as amended.
Okay,
Right.
so can we have a motion to accept the staff report as amended?
I so moved.
Roger, second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the staff report as amended. Roll call vote?
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Thank you.
all right, now we have the findings of facts. Any questions on the findings of fact, comments? Do we have a motion to adopt the findings of fact as presented?
I'll make that motion, Roger. Go ahead.
The motion was made by,
Nancy Reagan.
seconded by,
Roger,
do we have a roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
yes,
Roger Brock,
yes,
William Hutton,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
do we have a motion in regard to approve or deny the developmental conditional use for Z 2107? As presented by the staff and in regard to the 5 recommendations by the staff. Do we have such a motion? Have I covered everything, Mr. Poland?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have such a motion?
I'll make the motion, Roger.
I
Second,
second.
we have a
Mr.
motion
Hutton,
and a second. Roll call vote?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
you asked the question of approve or deny, and then the response was yes.
Okay, so
It needs to
we.
be clarified as to which one it is.
Okay, the motion, who made the motion, would you like to clarify?
Yeah, motion to accept, Roger.
I also accept it.
Okay, we have a motion to accept, as well as with the recommendations from the staff, all 5 of them. Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes,
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
all right, good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a good
yes,
night.
good luck.
Okay, we have then, did our petitioner for Z 2103 or Z 2104 contact you, Mr. Novak?
Yes, Scott is in attendance now.
Okay. So we will move to, I will read both of them again. As long till I get my minutes. Bear with me. Alright, there's nothing like working in somebody else's place and finding things. All right. We have Z 2103 petition of Salvador Feliciano for a conditional use permit regarding title section 3.11, parens 1, conditional uses to allow the operation of a beauty parlor business in a R1 urban single-family residential district located at 4404 Torrance Avenue in the city of Hammond. And Z 2104 petition of Salvador Feliciano for a developmental variance regarding title section 20.44.01, commercial/retail uses to allow an alteration of the requirements for off-street parking spaces in the R1U urban single-family residential district located at 4404 Torrance Avenue in the city of Hammond. Before the petitioner came and we tabled this to go into later, it was stated that there was no need to repost, but Mr. Poland did comment that he had placed something in the paper.
A legal notice.
Okay, so we have the petitioner here that like to explain his changes that he would like to make. And we
Yes, good
did- And we did get another copy of that was revised in our packet.
Good evening. My name is Scott Shelvis. I'm at 14421 Oakley Avenue in Orland Park, Illinois. I'm the architect. after their last meeting, we went back and looked at the project. We reduced down the number of chairs, and we eliminated one of the manicure stations as well. So we reduced our demand. Before was, I believe, was 7. We're now down to 5. Total of 5 people in the shop itself. 3 customers and 2 employees. There was a question from the councilman in his letter regarding if there was an apartment on the first floor. That whole first floor will be for the beauty shop. It's just more of a break room in that back area. The existing tenant, right now, there's no tenant on the second floor above this unit. It's right now needs to get renovated. The owner plans to have their son live there. The apartment above the garage is a single person that's right now that's renting that space. We are proposing to relocate the 2 garage doors off the street and move them onto the alley side, and thereby creating another space on the street parking, as well as maintaining the 2 spaces in the garage. Presently, there is construction material in the garage that will be cleared out. That is for the renovation of the apartment and hopefully the renovation of the first floor. At this point, we would totally need a total of 8 spaces. And we were looking at the fact that with the parking on this, we would have that on the street itself with the 2 spaces on in the garage. So those were the changes that we have made. And then I spoke with the owner, and if it's an issue of changing some of their hours of operation to be more accommodating for the neighbors, usually, you have people coming in that live there that want to, in the morning, maybe opening a little bit later up and then closing a little bit earlier. So we're not, having that heavy traffic from the times for people going in and going out of work. So we are open to that operation, if we need to make those changes. Now, the owner, I spoke with them yesterday. They do not see Monday through Thursday as a major day where they're going to have a lot of customers coming through. They see that's going to be a very more slow, only maybe based on appointments. So they would close down maybe early based on if there's no appointments later on in the day. And then the only days they look at as being their busiest days would be Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. And then again, those days we would look at the hours of operations to make it more accommodating for the neighbors.
They would be open also on Sunday?
Yes.
All right, do board members have any questions?
Madam President, the fact that you removed one of the chairs for an employee and reduced an office, I can't help but to think that another chair could be added 6 months from now, or another office space could be added 6 months from now, requiring parking spaces for those employees. Only having 2 parking spaces for customers seems pretty slim to me, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
I noticed also that as far as you're changing the configuration of the garage, have you had an opportunity to look at the neighborhood to see if any of the houses in the neighborhood also have their own garages where instead of on-street parking, they would be able to park in their garage, or did they use their garages as storage spaces?
That I have not.
Okay.
We have not.
Because if my understanding, talking to other people, most of those houses did have garages. So this is just what I have heard, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I
Anybody else have any
understand.
questions?
Well, I understood they said about a single person taking up one parking place, but what about if she has guests over and that takes another parking place up?
By code, the apartments are, based on the code, you're required 1.5 parking spaces. So, we cannot stop people from having guests over. This is, right now, if you have you have two apartments, you'd have one person, one car for the person living there. And then between the two, you have another car for a guest. There's nothing that we can do to stop people from, having guests over, like as everybody else in the neighborhood that's there.
And I think basically what brought out at our last meeting that is, basically public parking, so anyone could park there, even if you live 2 blocks away, correct?
That's correct.
So an occupant of the building might take up parking spaces of the customers.
Or the customer might take an occupation for the building, or somebody else might park there and take the occupation space for the customers and the community and everyone else. It's just like if you live at your house, somebody might park the car there because they're visiting somebody else, and you can't park where you normally park.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Anyone else, anybody in the public like to speak at this time?
Madam President,
Yes,
couple
would like to
comments.
state your name and your address, please.
Oh, sure. This is Councilman Mark Kalwinski, First District, City of Hammond, 5925 Calumet Avenue. I just want to go on record that I'm not opposed to the business coming in. I think business is good. I think a dark building lighting up is good. I appreciate the consideration to reduce sizes, but I do voice the same concern as Mr. Hutton, that what happens in 6 months, a year, when business is booming and you've already got your zoning changes and you wind up adding a chair or another manicurist. So those are concerns as a possibility down the road. I do have a question for Scott. Are the chairs that are there or the stations to do manicures, are they there to do pedicures too?
If I can answer, no, there's no pedicures.
So
those are a set different type of chair as well.
So that's not going to be part of the business then?
No.
Mr. Shalvis, can you wait until we go through all the rest of the public comments before you answer?
Sorry.
And just make a note on that one, okay? And then you can finish answering.
And so if I can continue then, I appreciate the answer that Scott will give me when we're done. Also, as I said, I'm not opposed to business going into that, but I am concerned and opposed to the variance for the parking. I think the allowance of the amount of parking is just not going to be adequate. I foresee issues in the neighborhood. I also wonder whether down the road or has the owner looked into purchasing a house next door to consider off-street parking or any of those kind of ideas as well. And that's just for you to answer later when we're all done. But I do want to say I'm welcoming to new business into the community. I really look forward to it. My concern is the variance on the parking. I do foresee issues there. Thank you.
All right, anybody else like to speak for or against or make comments in regard to either one of these petitions, Z 2103 or Z 2104?
So can we actually limit the chairs into this business?
We did consider having an amendment to the staff recommendation to include a subject to the number of chairs, putting a cap on that. We're open to that if the petitioner is.
Any other comments
Yes.
from the public?
Yes, this is Councilman Kalwinski again. And as Tom was talking, something came up in my head. One moment. I lost it. I'm sorry. Okay, if I come back to it, I'll ask for a moment. But I'm having a geriatric moment, I'm afraid.
Are board members allowed to ask people who comment questions or no?
Well, we've had questions presented by the public hearing process. Have you closed the public hearing process and given the petitioner the
Not-
opportunity to answer?
No, I haven't yet because when I was going to, Mr. Kowinski also wanted to have another question that he thought.
Right, I understand that, but the public hearing process is for the public.
Okay.
If the board members have questions, they have an opportunity after the public hearing is closed.
To even ask a question of somebody who spoke in the public or no?
That's, and unless you need to have some kind of technical clarification, why would you engage in a conversation?
All right, thank you. Just questioning.
And I'm sorry, I just don't recall what my question was. I guess we'll just have to move on,
So we're ready to close, Mr. Kowinski?
I guess.
Okay, we
Yes,
will close. No other questions from the public?
I just want to make sure the person named George who's on the call, are you with the public or?
Oh,
Want to make sure he has his chance.
listen, it's Councilman again. And Scott mentioned earlier about a variation of the hours, and
Okay, I think your question has to go to the petitioner.
yes,
Okay.
And so I would like to entertain consideration of the hours. However, I'm not going to be able to do that off the cuff like this right now. And I was kind of surprised to hear about Sundays. And what are your hours right now for Friday and Saturday and Sunday? Can you tell me those? Thank you.
All right. Anyone else in the public? We do not know who George is. He's going to remain silent and just listen, all right? We will close this period of public comments and Mr. Shelvitz, would you like to address Mr. Klawinski's comments or
Yes.
questions?
Yeah, in regards to just going down, there is no pedicure chairs. That's a different operation. It's a
Thank you.
different chair itself. So we had nothing on that. In regards to the option for limiting the chairs, we're open to that. They're having that as part of the amendment to approval. The purchase or off-street parking. I spoke with the owner. They are trying to see if there's anything that's close by that's possible to either rent or lease additional parking spaces off-site that they could, that they could direct their customers to within a reasonable distance from their facility. In regards to the hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right now, after speaking with them yesterday, we're looking at maybe 10 to 6, 10 to 5 for per day.
Thank you, Scott.
Do board members have any other questions for the petitioner? My question would be, has Mr. Klawinski, Mr. Shelvis, had the opportunity or approached you as far as discussion on this project or anything?
Regarding the, sorry, the,
Has he has he contacted you in regard to the project? Personally contacted you?
not that, no, that,
Okay, thank you.
That's correct.
All right. No, it's just nice to see a councilman who has expressed the interest in a new business coming to the area and interest for his own community.
Yep.
And it's that he's speaking for them, considering no one tonight else has come. And I think last meeting, there was only one. And I personally wish that my own council person and the councilman at large would take that much interest in my community. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from board members? We will take one at a time. And we will deal with the conditional use, which is Z2103 for conditional use for a beauty parlor in a residential district of 4404 Torrance Avenue. We have a staff report with the changes. We have a motion from the members to accept the staff report into the record and have the staff read their recommendations into the record.
Make that motion.
I'll second, Roger.
All right, roll call.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
All right, Mr. Novak.
And just to clarify, will this be for both cases or just the
We're
first
just dealing with the one in regard to
03?
just Z2103. Mr.
Yeah.
Poland prefers
Okay.
that we take them separate. So
No,
this-
I understand. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, in the case of Z2103, staff has reviewed the petitioner's proposal and recommends that the board grant the conditional use should the board feel that the petitioner has met the standards. Subject to, 1, the BZA approving the petition for developmental variance from off-street parking requirements, known as case number Z2104. 2, the petitioner resolving the concerns of the Hammond Department of Environmental Management regarding the potential use of noxious chemicals by the nail salon and the ability of the HVAC system to disperse those fumes. 3, the petitioner obtaining approval to work on the right-of-way by the Board of Public Works and Safety, a licensed contractor pouring an ADA compliant ramp for accessibility from the public sidewalk right-of-way at the corner and the front entrance of the business at the building's northeast corner. 4, the petitioner and the occupying businesses complying with all applicable regulations of the City of Hammond Municipal Code, the International Building Code, the National Fire Protection Association codes and standards. And 5, the petitioner limiting business hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
daily.
Okay.
Mr. Novak, was that 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. Monday through Sunday?
PM.
10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday, I believe is the intention,
Okay.
yes.
All right. And this is in addition to, this recommendation number 4 is in addition to the revised report that we received, correct?
Yes, we just added those last ones in.
You need to go outside.
4 and 5.
4 and 5, yes.
Can you read 4 and 5 again?
Okay.
Because I only put down 4. I thought maybe it
That's
just
okay.
all ran together. I don't know.
That's all right. 4 was that the petitioner and the occupying business complying with all applicable regulations of the City of Hammond Municipal Code, the International Building Code, and the National Fire Protection Association codes and standards. And 5, the petitioner limiting the hours of operation of the business from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Sunday.
Petitioner, I'm sure you cannot speak for your clients, but do you see any problem with the additions of number 4 and 5?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right. We need a motion then to accept the staff report with their recommendations and their additional recommendations into the record.
Come on, Val.
Miss Reagan, did you make that motion?
No, I didn't say nothing yet.
Okay, I'm
but I
sorry.
will make that well, just move on and let's make that motion.
All right.
Hey, Roger, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes,
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
All right. We have proposed findings of fact that have been presented to us. Are there any additions that people would like to make? Or any recommendations or amendments? We have a motion then to accept the proposed findings of fact into the record.
We'll make the motion of the finding of facts.
I'll second, Roger.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
William Hutton,
yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, do we have a motion in regard to the conditional use for Z 2103 as well as to accept and the approval or denial of this with the recommendations and amendments made by the staff? I covered everything, Mr. Poland?
As long as if it's clear that it's the 5 conditions.
Okay, the 5 conditions, and I said, okay. All right, with the 5 recommendations into the record. So do we have an approval or a denial?
We have an approval of all with the 5 recommendations.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Roger.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes,
William Hutton,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, now we move to Z 2104, which is in regard to the developmental variance for off-street parking exceptions at 4404 Torrance Avenue. All right, we have a staff report presented to us for this, and do we have a motion to accept the staff report into the records, except and have just the recommendations of the staff read?
Just the recommendation of the staff read.
Okay, and this is for the revised staff report and the second revision of the staff report dated 3/22/2021, so everybody is clear.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Everybody who first made the motion and seconded, agreed with that? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote?
I didn't get the motions or the second.
Oh,
I made the motion.
I'll second the motion, Roger.
Okay, so Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes,
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, could we have this recommendations of the staff read for Z-2104, second revision, 3/22/21?
Yes. So staff recommendation for case Z-2104, the developmental variance. Staff has,
No.
bless you.
Oh, go ahead.
Staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance
Come on.
should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards, subject to, one,
Come on, go ahead.
the BZA approving the petition for a conditional use permit for a beauty parlor, known by case number Z-2103. Two, the petitioner ensuring the residential tenants make a best effort to consistently park their personal vehicles inside the two-car garage located off-street. Three, the petitioner hiring a licensed contractor to reorient the overhead garage doors frames to open towards the alleyway and to comply with the city engineer's request for changes to the curbing and parkway. And four, the petitioner and their employees utilizing parking management plan and making all reasonable efforts to follow the schedule of customers outlined in said plan.
Okay, Mr. Novak, in my revision, I had 2 and 3 combined. Now you are separating into 4 of them now, correct?
Yes, I went ahead and amended it to improve the wording so that it was clear. So we're going to use the amended one for the.
We're going to use the 3rd revision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to accept the staff report as presented with the 4 recommendations?
I'll make that motion that we accept all 4.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, Roger.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes,
William Hutton,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
All right, now we move to findings of fact. Do we have a motion in regard to the acceptance of the proposed findings of fact presented to us by the staff?
I'll make the motion that the findings of facts from our staff.
Are accepted?
We are, yeah, to accept it.
Mhm. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second, Roger.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a roll call vote?
William Hutton,
yes,
Roger Brock,
Yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Right. We now have, as far as in regard to Z-2104 for the developmental variance in regard to off-street parking exception, do we have a approval or denial of this developmental variance with the 4 recommendations by the staff included in this approval or denial
I make the
approve.
motion to approve it.
with the 4 recommendations?
Yep, from the staff.
Okay,
I'll second, Roger.
we have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Dennis Radowski,
yes,
Nancy Reagan,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes,
Kathleen Hill,
Yes,
5 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
welcome to the neighborhood.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, we will move then, continuing with our agenda, the commissioner's comments. I have one. All right. And I hope the staff has been taking some notes because I was looking through our book and as far as trying myself to define places of assembly, pop-up shops, peddlers, and I could not find definitions for them. So hopefully as the things come along, you will be making notes on some of these where we have definitions that we are able to look at and have a definition because, you know, pop-up shops, you know, it's listed as peddlers. You know, I wasn't quite sure, is it limited? Can it be gun dealers? It could be, you know, what it could be. So that made me a little leery of some of these things.
Okay, Madam Chairman, the peddler's definition is in a separate ordinance under the city code for peddlers. So
Okay, so that's where I would find it. Like I said, I was looking under definitions.
right. And so that ordinance actually has been going through some revisions, and I don't think they've been submitted to the city council yet, that have been clarifying the licensing procedure of the peddlers. And the discussions of the pop-up vendors came into that as well. And then at some point in time, they're going to discuss food trucks. And because of how those are handled, they're not typically not automatically not typically in the zoning ordinance, they're in other ordinances. As far as a place assembly, it is just really simple, just the basic, you know, dictionary definition you can think of. It's a place you can assemble in it. And it's also a term that's equal to place of worship. A place of worship also is a place of assembly. And the assembly word not only is a place where people assemble, it also is a part of the building code when they talk about assembly uses.
Okay.
So there are other places that those definitions occur.
All right, I just tend to look at the main thing and.
No, I understand.
It's my fault, but thank you.
No,
But, you know, it did not say as far as all of a sudden with the revision, you know, it defined pop-up shops as peddlers, which before it wasn't even referred to it that way too, so.
Yeah, and that's because when I
That's my
spoke,
mentality.
yeah, when I spoke with Code Enforcement Commissioner Nick Farrell, he recommended the idea of getting the peddler license and things like that, and that's how we ended up incorporating it. And just to reference, you know, peddlers, pop-up shops, that's going to be chapter 122 of City Code,
Okay,
if you're looking it up.
all right, thank you.
And Kathy, just so you know, it's not, I mean, your question is valid and appropriate, but one of the things is that, you know, there is a belief system that you cannot necessarily define every possible word in your zoning ordinance. And so, you know, there's if you can't find a definition there, then you look for through traditional dictionary definitions.
Right.
What the common person will understand the term to mean.
I can do that, but I just counting on you to be my support and you're my dictionary. What can I say? You know, you go to different dictionaries. I teach and I have 4 or 5 different dictionaries because I can't find one word in one. So I'm looking at another to introduce it to the child. So I'm used to dictionaries. So
Right,
like I said, that little book, wherever I buried it tonight, is my dictionary for my BZA meeting. And I appreciate letting me speak. Thank you. All right, now you made me lose my thing. I think we are as far as we had comments, then we have, what do we have? Somebody else continue our agenda, please, because I can't find it. Here we are. Staff comments.
Yes, for staff comments, just to let you know that we will have a meeting in April, and that will be April 27th.
Okay, that again on Tuesday night. correct?
And
7th.
I've
Okay.
been entertaining submissions from, at least 3 parties. So, we may have three or 4, cases
And where's our deadline for it?
this week. So we do have submissions from at least 3 of them, and then we know we have an appeal. So
Okay, and you are closed on Friday, so they cannot make any recommendations of anything. So it basically ends on Thursday. All right. Any other staff comments? Any
No.
public comments? It is, oh my golly, it's now 7:53 and we will adjourn our meeting.
All in
This
favor?
is one of our longer ones, I'm sorry. Have a wonderful holiday, whether a Passover, Easter, or just spring break, or just as far as everybody regroup and get the vaccine. All
Be
right,
safe. All in favor?
Yep, have a great one,
everybody, good night.
everybody,
Night.
everybody, good
Good night.
night.
All right, my
Get a
pizza's here.
motion to adjourn.
good night.
Night.
Night.